All right, we're gonna warm up with our spinning inversion drill from the other day. All right, so our partner will be on their knees behind us. And only job up here is to stay strong, keep good posture so the guy down here can work. We're gonna lock wrists. Okay. I'm gonna get my hips up and off the mat, make contact with the armpits with my feet. Next, I'm gonna take my heel, bring it across and through the armpit. Okay. Then I'm going to back heel, bringing this knee up and around the rear delt, like behind the shoulder, and bringing my other knee up and chopping on the trap. Next, I'll lock my trap triangle. At this point, once we get center, I can let go of one of his hands, and I can continue my rotation into our front triangle system. All right? Anybody need to see it again? This is from the other night. So other side. All right. Lock wrist. Get my hips up by bringing my knees to my chest. Feet in the armpits. Going to bring my heel over and penetrate through the armpit. As I back heel with this heel, it's going to help me bring myself around and start cutting my angle. I'm going to bring this knee up to the rear delt and my other knee to the trap. Lock my trap triangle. At this point, I can let go of that other hand. Next, I can continue cutting my angles, locking my front triangles. If you want to stack a little bit, you can also go ahead and practice cutting a deeper angle. Up to you. Okay. Just want to get loose and practice our inversions. Cool. All right, 1, 2, 3. So we're gonna get into some actual front triangle entries. First off, the one of Danaher, if you don't know who John Danaher is, probably the best jiu-jitsu, best grappling coach on the planet. I think it's fair to say that objectively. I don't think anyone, even people who don't like him, are going to argue that, but maybe I'm wrong. Regardless, it's one of his favorite ways of getting these front triangle entries or mini triangle entries is 2-on-1 gripping. So first drill we're going to do is from this butterfly guard. First thing I want to do is get Hudson's hand towards the center line. Okay. Anytime when I'm in 2-on-1, anytime I can get two of my hands, two of my arms against his one arm, even if they have a size advantage or strength advantage on you, this should confer a mechanical advantage most of the time, because most of the time your two arms are going to be stronger than their one arm. Okay. Nick being the exception. If you've rolled with it, right? But there's also some fundamental flaws in how we as humans grip things, right? So right here, even if I can kind of make my fingers touch, the grip is always going to be very weak here. And especially if I'm higher up on the arm, my fingers definitely can't touch. There's always going to be this opening, right? He can't take his wrist into my hand. Like, that makes no sense. But there's always going to be this weakness where if he really wants to, he can start breaking that grip, right? So the whole idea of 2-on-1 gripping is having strong control in one direction and then strong control in the opposite direction, to where now it becomes really difficult for him to yank away his arm. Okay. Working backwards from that, here's our first drill. Butterfly guard. First thing I want to do is isolate one of his hands. So a lot of time we're here in butterfly guard, we're going to spend a lot of time just grip fighting. Ultimately, what I'm looking to do is isolate this arm. I might be able to get it across this way and feed. It's not going to be super realistic for me to just reach here and grab it, maybe, but more times than not, I'm going to need to get it to the center to feed it to the arm that I want to give it to. Once I've passed this off, I can slide up the forearm, and then I want to make a connection right here on the back of my elbow, or back of his elbow, with my thumb kind of clamped down right here in the kind of the crook of the elbow, right? And then I can also I kind of get those, we call them meat hooks all the time. I kind of get these two fingers and I dig in to the back of the elbow here. Okay. But I definitely want my thumb involved here. I don't want to be here. I want my thumb involved. Next, this is good, but it's even better. So right here, just from this control, it should be difficult for him to just yank it away from me. He should have a lot of resistance. When I combine this with pulling it towards my hip and getting my head involved here on the shoulder, now it's going to be really difficult for him to yank away from me. Okay, and all the while, once I've isolated the arm, whether we're here or we manage to get it all the way to our hip, remember if I do this, I don't want my head high. Okay, I want my head like in the shoulder. I want to have good head position. This is fundamental whether we're standing up or not. I don't want up here where he gets inside position on my chin. They can start putting me on the mat, right? We don't want this. Okay. We want good head position where as he starts trying to pressure in, it's difficult. Okay. I can provide a lot of resistance. Next, whether we're here or we're here, I'm going to take the same side foot, put it on the hip. What's up, Luke?
What's good?
I'm here on the hip. Next, as I start to fall back, this leg becomes weightless. Okay, so I'm able to frame up on his hip. This leg becomes weightless. This is important because anyone knows what's coming now. Anyone who's been doing jiu-jitsu more than a couple months knows what I'm setting up at this point. So he knows that if I can get my leg around him, I've got a triangle. I've got a trap triangle, right? So it's important that all my weight is on my butt and my leg is up and weightless so that I can pommel. So as he starts trying to defend this, it's always easy for me to windshield wipe that foot, pommel that foot. That's why we do these pommeling drills. It's what we're doing, is learning how to pommel. Okay. So here becomes weightless. Okay, he starts fighting it. Windshield wipe ends towards the bicep, and I start to pull him in. Once my knee breaks his shoulder line, now in one motion, I lock my trap triangle. Okay, let's just let's go do 10 of those. Okay, a piece, and then I'm gonna give you a couple more grips. But y'all know what to do from here if you've been here the past week and a half. We want to start cutting our angles or inverting, all that good stuff. Couple of key details here I want you to think about on this first pass is, first off, head position, obviously. Okay, so even if I'm here, like I never want to be like up, right? I don't want to like make my body long. I'm going to keep concave shoulders, a good seated guard. And then if I get his hand to my hip, I definitely want to use my head to be able to manipulate him so that it becomes quite like feels impossible for him to get this back. At this point, he'll probably even start trying to come into me, okay? Which is what we're wanting anyway. Okay. Second thing I want you to think about is, or I want you to remember, is it's not going to be the foot on the opposite leg. Okay. If we do the opposite side of the arm that we've trapped, he's going to pull ashi grounding. Okay? Like I'm just giving him a leg entry. I don't have any inside position on that side. He's just going to go straight to an ashi grounding. So it's always going to be the same side. Where here, it's going to be the same side hip of the arm that we have trapped. Now, this foot becomes weightless. I pommel on the inside. Once my knee has passed the shoulder line, lock my trap triangle, and then we can go to work. Okay? All right, 1, 2, 3.
Short bus.
I'm going to give you one more, but I'll also recap a couple mechanics. So first off, coming back to square it a little bit. Okay. So right here, we've covered this key detail last time where once I have my trap triangle, the finish is always going to have my lower leg north of his shoulder line. Okay. So if your leg's south of one of his shoulders or both, it's not going to be a very good strangle. But north, it's going to be much tighter. Okay. Because what we're doing is we're moving the shoulder out of the choke when we do this. Okay. So if we're south of the shoulder line, you see his shoulder. Once I come north, and you see how my knee is in the front delt, track and making contact with the head, his shoulder disappears. Just keep in mind, magic tricks, okay? That's one. Number two is making my lower legs point the same direction when I'm ready to attack. Okay, so when I'm in my trap triangle, both of first off, they're still pointing the same direction here, right? But at no point do I want like legs pointed different directions, like lower legs here. I don't really want different directions. It's much easier for him to posture out right now. I don't have any kind of control. But as soon as I make so right here we're in our trap triangle, they're pointed the same direction. This maintains my control. As I start to cut angles, notice what happens to my lower legs. I make them point the same direction. My feet, my lower legs both pointing the same direction. Even as he starts to stack me, okay, right here, I don't want to be like pointed like this or like this, right? I want my lower legs, first off, I want to be tracking him so he can't just get out. And then I want my lower legs pointed the same direction. Okay, so even as he stacks me more, I always want my feet pointed the same direction. Okay, the more that we emphasize this, the greater success we're going to have in terms of the control and the finish. Thirdly, I don't want to be in situations where I have a lot of friction with the mat, because for triangles, mobility is going to be key. So being able to move, like if I'm here trying to finish, it's going to be incredibly difficult to spin. So if he starts stacking me right here, and I stay flat, it's going to be really hard for me to do anything. But if I am constantly looking to get up on my shoulders proactively, it's going to allow me to spin because I reduce my friction with the mats, right? If I can get up on my shoulders.
Also forces me to front roll if I'm too adamant about going into the
Yeah, people can get off balance up here once you start, if you really lock in something tight. We did that last week, right? You go straight into 3/4 Juji. The other thing I was going to mention, I want to emphasize one more thing here. I'm going to keep saying these little details just to make sure that we retain them. But as I start to rotate underneath him, he starts coming in. My knee, let's rotate, sorry. I need to see my knee. Watch my knee, okay? Here, all right? See where my knee is? Okay? Right there. I don't want my knee up here high if I can help it, especially as he's stacking me. Okay, look how much space is there in the lock. But if I point my knee down towards the crotch, get my heel in the back of the head, I have a much tighter finish here. Okay, so I'm always looking to take if I need to rotate under him, reduce the friction, get up on our shoulders, and then secondly, allow your knee to rotate down towards the crotch, not just down towards the mat, but allow it to like almost flare towards the crotch. This is going to give you like maximum mobility to continue spinning around like a corkscrew type motion. Okay. And then once you lock that lock, make sure it's behind the head. We keep going over this. I just want to make sure we're like emphasizing and retaining these little details. The lock behind the head means he's going to have a really hard time pulling away. If he tries to stack even more, he just kind of strangles himself. And a lot of times they end up falling over because there's nowhere else to go. So just think about that. Next 2-on-1 sequence we're going to do is going to be so this was a pronated grip, right? My palms are facing down. So I have a pronation, supination, okay? Next, we're going to do a supine grip. Okay, so first off, let's say we make contact with the elbow first. Instead of, one thing I can do is instead of going pronation, I can go supinated, okay? And I don't want to just stand out here because he can just rotate his wrist out, right? But if I go supinated and I bring him to my chest, it's going to have a really hard time yanking it away, okay? So this is going to be our next one. I want you all to do like 5 to 7 apiece, and then we'll do a couple more. We can drill these again Saturday, okay? But first off, let's get another angle here, okay? Right here, I make contact at the elbow, and instead of trying to get control, like pronated control over the wrist, I come under, wrist to wrist, okay? And I don't leave it out here. I cling it to my chest, and I bring my elbows tight towards my hips. So now I have 2-on-1 of his arms, plus I have the mechanical advantage of my lats are involved because my elbows are close to my hips. So I'm able to lap, right? If I'm out here, even if I have a death grip with my hands, I still am just weaker because my elbows are far away from my trunk. So it's a lot more of my shoulders involved than my lats, right? Anytime that I can get, this is true in grappling no matter what position. If I can get my elbows close to my hips and my trunk, I'm going to be stronger because there's a lot more of my lats involved and they're very strong muscles compared to my shoulders, okay? So here, I make contact with the elbow, wrist to wrist, and then I hug it to my chest. All right, this should give some good control. But just like always, I don't want to suddenly start coming back where I create windows for him to come out. Okay, right, work pressure in. If I'm going, as I fall back, I want to make sure that I'm able to create distance between our chests, because that's what allows me the space to get my leg inside for a trap triangle. So as I'm here, I'm looking to come up to the hip, and now I can start coming back, okay? And also emphasize that this leg becomes weightless, okay? So here, as he starts pressuring in, I need to be able to catch it. I need to be able to be mobile here, right? As soon as I can find the bicep, that's money, okay? Because it means he's not really going to be able to get that back, okay? I should always, if I can find the bicep with the sole of my foot, I should have a really high likelihood of getting the trap triangle, okay? But it all comes from that foot being able to be weightless and freely rotate. So if it's on the ground or on him, we're doing something wrong. That makes sense? All right. Any questions on that? Let's get a few of those in, and we'll do a couple more. Cool. 1, 2, 3. All right. So lastly, is going to be countering, still from the same seated butterfly dart here. It's going to be countering this collar tie.
Okay. That's where you're going.
Yeah. All right. So from here, he's doing this to take a strong grip on me, right? But I'm going to capitalize on this and make him regret it a little bit, right? So first I'm going to do is cup the shoulder, and notice I'll immediately start also pinching in with my shoulder. I'm going to cup his elbow and pinch in my shoulder, and then at the same time I'm coming over the top with my right hand over the bicep and clamping down, and I'm almost pulling inside. So I'm creating this kind of like torquing motion or torquing pressure on his upper arm or his lower arm here. So from here, this is a thumbless grip, and then I'm coming over the top and I'm clamping down. And this is all we're doing, because now it should be pretty difficult for him to get this back if he tries to yank it away. Okay. Now all the while, I'm looking for that hip. You buff a lot. I feel really bad. I'm like, am I being that?
People think I'm an asshole and I don't tap, but I literally just pop every time I do. I swear.
He's been training for like 3 years. So, do with that what you will. All right, right here. Once even if he's trying to yank that back, my whole point is showing you he has a strong collar tie. I'm cupping, I'm coming over the top, and I'm driving forward my shoulder, getting my head low. Now he's gonna have a hard time. He can fight it all he wants. I'm here on the hip, and as he's trying to get his hand out, I'm gonna make his body long. This is super important. Okay, we use this to create separation. The closer our chest is, or my chest is to his chest, the harder it is for me to like get a foot in there, right? Like I'm not that flexible, right? But as I use this frame, as I let gravity push me back, and I use this as a frame, the distance between our torsos increases, right? So now it becomes much easier for me to find that bicep and get to this point. Once my shoulder crosses once my knee crosses the shoulder line, this is where it's that unison motion where he's at a point of no return. Gravity is going to push him down. I'm holding him up right now. Okay. So I'm going to jump the shoulder with both legs in one motion at this point, once my knee is above the shoulder. And I can do it like this, and he's just going to fall into the pocket. Okay. That frame with your heel is super important, because it creates the distance that allows us to pommel that foot inside. Okay. Is there any questions on that? Let's do a few reps of this one, and then I want to do a couple of positionals before we wrap up. All right.
You said just grip.
Yeah. So collar tie.
I want to say one thing real quick. This collar tie, I haven't tried it with triangles. It makes a lot more sense to do it. I normally do arm bars, but I forget who I saw it from, but they're like, if you're ever playing seated guard, someone comes in with a collar tie and they don't respect, like typically what you'll do with the collar tie is do a knee post, force them down, and start working around. Like this was one of the big things that it was more of a shoulder post, but Utak and CJI would come in and just mess dudes up with just a simple post. But the second they come in and try to battle here, that's a fucking red light for you. Like immediately it's like, oh, you want to call it that? You're not getting this back. So I just want to say that because I love that trap that you get them in once they come in for that grip.
It's kind of similar, I think, to how we'll set up our Russian entries for guys who have been here for the Russian arms. Like, it's similar to where I'm coming over the top and I'm setting up the Russian, except here I'm not committing to the Russian. I'm just locking everything in. by pressuring my shoulder forward. And then this grip pulls this way. This grip isolates the arm from going that way and back. It's just a nice, like, I don't know what to call it. I call it the torquing motion. There's probably a better word for it. But yeah, that's the grip. I'm cupping the shoulder, I'm cupping the elbow. I'm coming over the top right here above, like right below the bicep, chopping down and bringing my elbow towards my pocket. And then I'm pressuring forward. So it's almost like I could make, well, I can get a shoulder lock in there, but it's almost like as if I wanted to Americana him, right? And then from here, we're setting it up. Hold. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1 minute positional from a trap triangle, and then we're gonna switch.
And you're trying to finish off the trap triangle?
Yeah, you're trying to finish a front triangle or an opposite triangle. You can use either of the two that we've gone over so far. Any other questions on this? In the trap triangle. One in, one out. All right, ready? Y'all watch your hand on the concrete, Tucker. Just be careful over there, please. Tucker. Hey, be careful on the concrete. Just
Hey, Chad, scoot back some.
all right, on the bell.
Bye.
All right, reset, Daniel. If you get out of the trap triangle, just reset. All right, get your collar tied, reset. Okay. East to chest, Daniel. East to chest. There you go. Start cutting your angles. Remember the knee comes down below the ear. Allow your right knee to go toward the crotch. There you go, switch, Tucker. Switch it. You see it? All right. The knee goes down. Yeah, the knee goes down towards the rib. Lock behind the shoulder. I gotta reduce the friction. Yeah, you got more of an 80. You get your knee forward and wrong. Yeah. Start with the collar tie from the trap triangle, okay? On the bell. Gosh dang it. I couldn't get to my kid, but fast. Fine. All right, your partner. Actually, no, just keep the same partner. We're gonna do a different one. All right. Next drill we're gonna be looking to do is we're just focusing on grip fighting. If I'm seated guard, my partner's gonna be on their knees, and his whole goal is don't let me get this 2-on-1. And he can also try to pass my guard, but you cannot get on your feet. We're just working from this kneeling position right now, okay? So you can start trying to pass, but like don't be standing up and all that, right? I want you on the bottom playing seated guard, solely focused on not letting him pass my guard and looking for those sequences where I can get in on my 2-on-1s, okay? Make sense? All right, if you get on the 2-on-1, I want you to attack the time.
Top guy body lock or just I think that'll shut down a lot of the grip fights. So maybe just grip fight.
Double arm button? Yeah. Okay, and body lock pass not allowed, right? Particularly have to do the outside pass. Alright, is it goal to feel more? Your goal if you're hitting guard is to knock your guard pass and bring it back to all one home.
Took it from me.
Yeah.
What first thought?
Alright, no others. Alright, we're gonna do a minute and a half. So give it a little. Actually, we're gonna do 2 minutes. Alright. So y'all really get your reps in. If you get your guard pass, or you get a triangle, or at any point like you're not in this chain of events, you should be able to self-correct here. Just reset. Alright. Don't let it go to other places. We're not looking
Just say, if you lock your hands in a body lock, then restart. Because that's a
Yeah,
bad thing to be
that's
aware of, you know?
Yeah.
Just don't stay there and try to pass.
Yeah, if you don't like the body lock, you just lay there for a minute where we can't actually do the drill. Alright. Start working past this knee, you can battle. All right, hey, you already set, then. There you go. You're there.
I think the fucking nuts are nuts.
I had tricks and random. Think about how to off balance him with your feet. JC, if you register for that tournament, you can get weird. Grade or whatever it is. Not yet. Y'all already do it? Not yet. And I got the impression Jarrett was. Hey, Tucker, take your knee towards his crotch. You gotta control the posture though. Yeah, I didn't want him coming out. I want to get that collar tie in that transition. I got the impression Jarrett was gonna probably try to participate in that one. Yeah. Okay. 30 seconds. Get that technique right, so this is where you're having trouble. Yes, on your shoulder. Fine. Hey, good thing we're done. That's suck. Knee towards his groin, Josh. Lock it behind his head.
You the shoulder?
You what?
The shoulder line? You take my head out of here and grab that arm. Through.
No.
Come on, there's that. I'll show you at the bottom.
Guys, find that bicep you got. What? Just find that bicep in your foot. No. Sorry, you pass the thing. Show them what you like. I tried to do that.
arm out. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's a lot of spots. Yeah.